Good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching me today. My name is Peter As. Welcome back to Invest with Peter As. So today I'm going to be talking about why I believe we will probably manage to avoid recession by the end of this year, 2023, because people are thinking, well, market is going to rally at some point, then we're going to have recession by 2023. Well, but I'm going to be telling you two main reasons why I think we'll probably avoid recession. But before then, please, if you've not subscribed, please kindly do put your comment down below, click that like button, and so that anytime I come on board and I put something online, you'll be able to see and get the information that you need at the particular time or at the right time that you need that information. My name is Peter Ads, and welcome back again. But before then, last week the CPI came out as 7.9%. Yeah, market actually predicted that the CPI will be around 7.9 and at most maybe 8.0%, but the consumer price index came out 7.9. So that really didn't do any much, in the market. Market didn't budge at all because the market has already predicted 7.9. But this week, the FOMC are going to be raising rates. That's what we've been waiting for, QE all this time. Now QT is going to start happening, quantitative tightening. That's what we need because market has been all over the place since 2020. It's been QE, quantitative easing, but now we need the QT and move on from here. We can't be here because we need to try to avoid, stagflation. We need to move on. Market need to move on. So on Wednesday and Thursday, market is gonna, Jerome Powell is gonna come on board again and tell us, all right, because he's promised. He didn't promise, but he said they're going to be raising rate by 25 base points. So market has already priced that in. Likewise, the most investors as well, but most banks are predicting 50 base points. But he said it that because of what's happening in Russia, Ukraine issue, is going to be that they're going to be quite, easy and gentle and subtle with what they're going to be doing because they are monitoring what's going on in East Europe at the moment because it's a big issue, geopolitical issue is driving the market crazy at this point. So they are monitoring everything that's going on, and that's why they are being gentle and trying to, tamper with Messi at this point. So market is being, we priced that in, and people are still predicting that they are probably going to be raising rate 7 times, 8 times. But personally, I believe they're going to be raising rates probably 4, 5 times this year. I don't know about next year, but this year is going to be around 4, 5 times. So this week, they're going to be raising rate and markets already priced that in 25 base point. No changes. So now, why do I think we'll probably be avoiding recession by 2023? First thing first, right? The labor market at this point is still good. People are still going back to work. The great, resignation happening in the US, people are still resigning and all that, but people resigning are not actually sitting down at home doing nothing. They are actually jumping on board, working with some of that sectors and all that stuff. So people are not sitting down at home not doing anything. People are actually working. So the labor market is doing fine. It's doing well. People are getting back to work. People are earning more. People are earning more right? Pre-COVID, but at the point in time, I think we are moving on. Market is not labor market is still good. And, because of what has been happening since 2020, people have not been, working. People have been saving enough money. People are ready to spend this money at this point. So apart from the crisis going on, the labor market is still good. Nothing is happening. People are working. People are doing fine. So labor market is good. I don't believe in recession this year or probably next year. That's the first one. The second one is Venezuela, right? The oil crisis, the crude oil crisis that we have now, because of the sanctions happening, most countries are sanctioning Russia, their fuel, McDonald's live in Russia, Starbucks live in Russia, Facebook, and all these restrictions going on there. So, but because we know that Russia actually produces up to 40% of the world consumption when it comes to crude oil, right? So that is not coming out again. the tap is going to be turned off, right? So where do we get this crude oil? That's why the price of crude oil is going ballistic at this point. You probably felt it as well, but we're feeling it in Europe. Price of crude oil now, if you go to the pump now, it's probably twice what US are buying it at this point. So now Venezuela come on board now. Venezuela said they actually want to bail the world out because Venezuela has the largest oil reserve. So they're ready to pump up to 40 million barrels a day. So I think last week they actually released some United States prisoners back to US. So I think there's a good friendship coming on board now, and the sanctions that was placed on Venezuela is probably going to be lifted very soon because there's no way we're getting this crude oil. We need energy. I understand the environment that we need to go green, all that stuff, but we're not there yet, right? The world still need crude oil. We need fossil fuel. Most of the car we drive now is not electric, so maybe 2030, 2035, the world can probably go all the way green. But at this point now, the world need crude oil. And where are we going to get it? Iran is not there. Iran is not going to be giving it because Iran and Russia, they're still friends. They're still doing business with each other. So you don't want to do business with Iran while you're dealing with Russia. So that's probably going to cause a big problem. And the nuclear crisis where, Iran is actually getting sanctions by the world, by, United States, because they produce high number of uranium, and no one knows how the quantity at which they are producing this uranium, which they use to alongside some other things to make nuclear weapons. So Iran has been sanctioned, but I think US is weighing the risk. Okay, I think Venezuela is more or less a close by friend compared to Iran, because if you deal with Iran at this point, it might lead to different crises in the front. And Iran has laid out what they actually want. They want the sanctions to be lifted, right? And they want some other things, which I'm not going to mention because this is not a political platform. It's an investing platform. I'm not going to be. If you want to know more, probably go on Google or probably listen to the other news that you can get your information from. So I think Venezuela is ready to start pumping their oil. They want to open the tap now. Once US lift all these sanctions on them, they're ready to start pumping oil. And guess what? Once they open the tap, the world is going to be flooded with crude oil, enough crude oil. You probably see WTI and Brent goes down like that. So if you are investing in energy, you need to be monitoring this news, because if you sleep overnight and you see it on the news, Venezuela ready to start pumping oil in millions of barrels. Guess what? Energy sectors like Chevron and all those ones you've been investing might probably deep up to 20% because of that, because we're just one news away from either up or down. So if Venezuela bails us out, expect the whole place is to be flooded with crude oil, and we're going to get back to pre-COVID price point. So that's that. I believe that's going to happen very soon. It's blinking though. The information, what I think is going to be very, very soon. I believe it's going to be very, very soon. And the news is going to come out very soon. Well, when it comes out, you're going to come back to this channel again that this guy said it and it's happening. It's been mentioned on the news. It's not a secret. It's been mentioned on the news. But I think that's probably going to be a better option than getting our oil from Iran. Next one is, the market is just one news away from a big rally. There's been, news from Russia that they have been peace meeting between Russia and Ukraine and all that stuff. We're just one news away from a big rally. Guess what? Once that big rally, because the market, if you look at the way market is trading, you can see the market want to rally. This market want to rally. So one good news from Russia is going to send this market right to the sky. So I believe we're going to get good news very soon, because the issue in Russia now, in Ukraine now, is getting to the peak now, where we're going to know where we're going, whether full blown or things go, the other way. But I don't want to predict anything, but I believe, peace is still going to reign in that region. People have been devastated. The country is damaged. Ukraine. But I believe a good news is probably coming out very soon. And I think as investors, start buying all these companies at a cheaper price now. Don't look away. Don't think probably we still haven't hit the floor yet. Nobody can predict the market. Nobody can time the market. If you're trying to predict that we're not at the floor yet, what if a good news come and Putin just say, well, all right, I've had enough. I've taken all my place. And Zelensky said, well, okay, take those places, take Donetsk, take these places. We're going to accept them as an independent state. Guess what? Market is going to rally all the way 3, 4, 5% in a day. So I don't want to be standing by. I want to get involved now and dollar cost average. And if you do so too, it's probably going to help you. But I think, like I said, we are heading towards a vital note because, Russian soldiers have already surrounded Kyiv now. And at this point, we need to know, and we're going to know very soon what's going to happen. But the last one is the caveat. Please, let us pray. Nuclear weapon is a no-no for the world peace, right? So that's the only nail in the coffin. If we're going to avoid world global crisis or recession, nuclear weapon should be kept safe with a big lock on it, right? That's the only caveat. That's the only nail in the coffin that's going to destroy everything, right? Hopefully, common sense, come in play here, and everybody just fold their hands and just wish for peace, and everybody live like normal again. Nuclear weapon or nuclear war is not going to be a very palatable one. Well, I've come to the end of this. I still think that we are probably going to avoid recession this year, next year. I don't know about the future, like 2010, 2024, 25, but at this point, I don't think we're there yet. And even Goldman Sachs says, the possibility of a recession is 35%. Well, that's still not bad. That at least it's not 50%, it's not 60%. So there's the probability it might not even happen. So if you want to invest now, invest wisely, dollar cost average, and have your cash reserve just in case we are not at the bottom yet. Well, guys, thank you very much. My name is Peter. Please, I'll see you on the next one, and bye for now.